The self-introduction that you give in a job interview can make the difference between you getting the job or not getting the job, because it's often the first impression, and first impressions are important. You need to know how to connect yourself, your skills, your experience to the role. But really, all you're doing is telling your story. You have to tell your story in the right way for it to be memorable, for it to click with the interviewer so that they say, oh yeah, this person is right for this role, for this job. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to give a great introduction in an interview. We're going to go through specific phrases that you can use to do that, to connect your experience, your skills, your personality to the role itself for the interview. If you have any questions as we go, let me know in the comments. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And now let's get into it. When you go to a job interview, you will almost always be asked to talk about yourself. Well, how do you do that in a way that sounds natural, that makes this person who's listening, whether it's a hiring manager or your future boss if you do get hired, or someone from the team you may work with if you do get hired, how do you do this in a way that makes them say, wow, this person is a good fit. I want to work with them? Do you say, hello, my name is Luke. I love golf. I love looking at clouds. And I love macaroni and cheese. One of those things is true. But even if they were all true, that's not a good introduction for a job interview. Actually, it's not a good introduction at all. I'm going to walk you through how you can introduce yourself in a way that makes people say, wow, tell me more, I want to work with you, right? We're going to look at specific phrases and what those phrases accomplish. And we'll look at examples for how we can use those in a natural way, okay? So let's get directly into it. The first one is, how can you talk about your professional background? Well, hopefully you have a professional background, right? If this is, your first job, then yeah, maybe this is not the right thing to do because you don't have a background, but I'm assuming that you do, okay? So the best way to do this is to say what your background is. Now, you want to probably assume that whoever is talking to you has looked at your resume or CV. And so when you say I have a background in, you may want to give a little bit of context that's not in your resume or CV. So I have a background in digital marketing, having managed several online advertising campaigns in my previous role. And you could then go on to say a little bit more, right? So this may be a reminder because they've seen your resume or CV, or it may be I'm telling you something that you already know because you read my resume or CV. Here's a little bit more context. I managed online advertising campaigns in my previous role, right? At the company that you worked at. Oh yes, I see that on your resume. Well, maybe that's just a little reminder, but a background in. Now you can use this more broadly if you say something like, well, I have a background in working with regulators. Well, working with regulators is an activity that you did, right? And it's not a role, it's not just a field, it's a specific type of activity. Maybe your resume didn't even say that. Well, this is another way that I have a background in can be used very effectively. What you're doing for an introduction is you're talking about yourself in the context of the role, right? People often think they should just talk about themselves, right? Hello, my name is Luke. I come from this. No, 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 no. You should connect your professional experience and skills to this position, this role, this company in a way that shows who you are and what you can do, right? Now, maybe you're talking about your experience or how you got started, right? The beginning of your career, because it highlights something about you, right? You might say, when I first started out, why would you say that? This is where you might show growth. This is where you might show how much you've learned or how far your career has gone. So I'm giving you the beginning point of my career, and then I'm going to tell you even more, or I'm going to tell you how I improved or changed or grew. When I first started out, I was a junior software developer at a small startup where I honed my coding skills in Python and JavaScript. Then I took that experience and worked in another startup, a bigger one, where we built So here you're showing a progression. And if you show a progression of skills, and that I really learned this, and I learned it a long time ago, that may make the employer or hiring manager say, okay, I can see that you continue learning. I can see that you continue getting better. That's potentially very impressive. Sometimes you want to talk about difficulties. Now, why would you talk about difficulties or challenges in an introduction? Well, if you're talking about your career, your working experience, what you've done, what you can do, talking about a challenge allows you to show how you deal with things, right? Because we all face challenges, we all face difficulties. And so if you're able to mention a challenge, you're adding a story element to your introduction that gives you a chance to highlight a thing about you that is maybe impressive or interesting. Have you ever seen an episode of a TV show or a movie that had no conflict, right? You're connecting with a person. You want them to be interested in you. You would never watch a TV show where nothing happens, or they're just dancing around and singing and tossing flowers around and eating lollipops the whole episode. You want something bad to happen because that is what grabs you, makes it interesting, because you want to see how did they get through this. One of the biggest challenges I faced was leading a team through a critical project under a very tight deadline at Global Solutions. Maybe it's another one of the roles that you had that's on your resume or CV. Then you could maybe share a little bit about how you did that, right? As a leader, or I was new to leadership, what I did was I tried to, and then you can explain a little bit more about that challenge to highlight something about you, right? And this is just a simple little statement or sentence that you can use. One of the biggest challenges I faced was, again, this is very, very useful. Okay, how about growth? You want to show growth? You might say something like a position in the past, right? Again, you're talking about your work history. That position at job number 3, right? That position pushed me to become more adaptable and really skilled in crisis management, because we always had these issues where something would come up. We only had a week to solve it, and if we didn't solve it, millions of dollars would be lost. And so we always felt like we were handling one crisis or another. And so crisis management is something that I learned, especially during really high-pressure situations, like this one, right? Now, I'm not saying a specific example, right? That's where we could use the last one we talked about, right? If you have a story element that is interesting, there you can say, one of the biggest challenges that I faced, like we talked about. But if you want to talk about a job in general, and a common feature or characteristic of that job is, well, crisis management. It made me very adaptable. What did? That one thing that happened? No, that whole job. Oh, okay. So that's a good way to highlight something that you gained from a previous role. It's okay to say good things about yourself. What about achievements? What about things that you did that are great, right? Throughout my career, I have consistently exceeded sales targets by at least 20% each quarter. So if that's how good you are at sales, you should say that about yourself, right? Maybe not everyone is able to achieve something like that. It's an amazing ability. If you can do that, you must be very gifted. You must have a knack for sales. And so say it, right? Instead of saying, I am really good at this, right? Throughout my career, this says it didn't just happen once. This is something that's true for me. I have consistently exceeded. I have consistently performed. I have something that you have done over a period of time. Don't say, I'm really good at sales. No, this is much more specific, and it doesn't say something that's true about you only right now. It says something that is true about you and has been true about you for a long period of time. And when people hear that, they say, oh, wow, this is the skill that we've been looking for, right? This is what we want at this company. Another way to talk about talents or skills is to say that you have, as I mentioned, a knack. Now, knack and skill are a little bit different. If you have a knack for something, it means that it's kind of natural. To have a knack for something means that you didn't have to work as hard as others at it. You picked it up very easily. You may hear people say, oh, he or she has a knack for learning languages, has a knack for tinkering and figuring stuff out. To have a knack is a natural inclination that allows you to get better at something than more quickly than maybe others, right? It doesn't mean that they can't do it as well as you. It means it's a natural gift that you have. I have a knack for identifying customer needs and developing strategies to address them effectively. So I don't just think, what do I want to say? I think, no, what do the customers need? What are they really thinking about? Getting into their heads, right? Okay. And then figuring out then how to communicate with them so that when they hear me give my pitch as a salesperson, they say, well, yeah, that's exactly the problem we have. And this looks like the perfect solution. And that's why I'm such a good salesperson, right? Not me, actually. I'm not, but for example, right? Now, maybe you want to use your previous colleagues to provide some kind of social proof. Social proof is what you get with reviews, right? If you have a product and it has a bunch of reviews, or a course or something, and it has a bunch of good reviews, then that is social proof. That's not you saying how good something is. That's other people or someone you know saying how good it is. Well, unless I'm a liar, I can say that people I worked with would say something about me that is good. Hopefully I'm honest about that. My previous colleagues would say that I'm highly collaborative and always willing to offer support and guidance. Now, in the interview, at no point do they talk to my previous colleagues, right? But assuming that the interviewers, feel that you're somewhat honest, you can make a statement like this. But what you're doing is separating it from just, I think I'm very collaborative. No, I'm showing you what I think other people think about me, right? And that's different. It's a different feeling. It's a different flavor. So that can work very, very well. Sometimes we want to talk about work style, how we work, right? Well, that's important because if you're being interviewed by someone, they are potentially your future colleagues, your future boss. So they're going to be working with you. That's not just about your skills and achievements and things that you did before. It's also how you tend to work, right? I'm at my best when. This is not about performance usually. This is not about an accomplishment of any kind. This is usually how I like to work, in what kind of environment, under what conditions I like to work, right? I'm at my best when working on challenging projects that require innovative thinking and team collaboration. So that shows I like to work with people rather than by myself, and I don't like to just sail through life doing nothing difficult, right? The challenge is what makes me enjoy work. Figuring something out, solving problems. I like that. I don't like a boring desk job. I like to be challenged, right? And I like to have to come up with solutions. I'm at my best means I'm comfortable working in that way. I like working in that way. That is my favorite way to work, right? So I think this is a really good phrase to use when you want to especially say something that's going to connect, hopefully, with the work style or working culture of this potential company or employer, right? Now, maybe you want to mention the thing about this company that is interesting to you. Why apply here instead of anywhere else? Well, maybe I did, but I want to zoom in on the thing about this company that is interesting, that draws me, that makes me want to work here, right? I'm not telling you to be dishonest. I'm saying this is how you say that, right? Drew is a great word. To draw someone is to be pulled toward, like gravity. The thing that drew me to this company, the thing that drew me to Innovatech was the commitment to sustainability, right? Oh, maybe this is a value I have, right? And cutting edge technology in product development. So if you're applying for a job, why do I want to work here, right? I like the maybe very direct style of communication that is well known at this company. The thing that drew me to this company is the, standard of excellence across teams, or the cutting edge technology, or whatever it is that is there that you think is interesting. Now, you want to avoid obvious things, like the thing that drew me here is the fact that I will be paid, right? Of course, you want to avoid that because hopefully you'll be paid anywhere. So you want to probably avoid things that are just personal benefits to you, right? The thing that drew me here is the benefits package that I will get if I work here. No, that's not good because it will come across probably as selfish. But if the thing that drew you here is something that is a shared value or a shared interest that is true about this place that you have too, genuinely, authentically, then maybe it is a good one to say, okay? Maybe we want to say that the role is a good fit. This is just a statement, but I say something, I make a statement about me, my experience, my work ethic, my personality, and then those things are good for this role. Because I have these things, I'm a good fit for the role, right? I'm suitable for the role. So fit actually is a great word. Ideal fit is great too, right? So maybe you could say, my experience in leading diverse teams and driving product innovation makes me an ideal fit for this role. An ideal fit. I'm summing everything up. I'm explaining. I'm putting all the pieces together. All the stuff that I've told you so far in my introduction, I think make me the perfect person to be hired for this role. And if you've done a good job of explaining that clearly, well, then hopefully they feel the same way, right? Like it's part of it's communication, part of it is honesty, part of it is authenticity, part of it is the specific examples that you choose, part of it is show, don't tell, which is to give specific examples of challenges and things that you've done, how you dealt with things. That's called show, don't tell. Putting all that together in this nice, authentic package can, if you do it well, really connect with someone. And the questions that they have then are just follow-up questions, but the introduction really is important. Now, I would encourage you to not do what we're about to do. I'm going to show you an example putting together the phrases that we've been talking about. But I strongly encourage you to not do that, to not read something or write something and then memorize it, because something that is memorized will disconnect. It's hard to hear somebody reciting something that they've memorized. You want it to sound authentic. So it's better if it's imperfect and real, not memorized, than to be memorized and kind of awkward to listen to, right? So just to be clear, I'm just giving you this as an example. I'm not telling you to do this in the future, okay? So all of that said, I'm going to look down here. I'm going to read this example. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. Let me say a bit about myself. I have a background in digital marketing, focusing on online advertising campaigns, which was a key part of my role at TechCorp. When I first started out, I was a junior software developer at a small startup where I learned Python and JavaScript. One of the biggest challenges I faced was leading a team at Global Solutions during a high-pressure project with a tight deadline. This experience pushed me to become more adaptable and skilled in crisis management. Throughout my career, I have consistently exceeded sales targets, showing a proven track record in achieving company goals. I have a knack for understanding and addressing customer needs, a skill that has always been beneficial. According to my previous colleagues, I'm highly collaborative and supportive, always ready to help the team succeed. I am at my best when working on challenging projects that require innovative thinking. The thing that drew me to this company was the commitment to sustainability and cutting-edge technology. My diverse, and I would add here, I think my diverse experience and proactive approach to working make me an ideal fit for this role. Now, put aside the fact that there are some conflicting things here in terms of experience, right? Like, okay, we're doing Python, but also there's sales. Okay, what's happening here? Put that to one side. I just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like when you put all of these phrases together, right? I'm not saying that this is perfect or coherent. In fact, I would recommend adding detail. I wanted to keep it very short. Add detail, add examples, make it more human, make it more you, right? These are great phrases to know and use, but make it your own. Don't assume that just because I gave you this, that it is the best example. It really isn't. This is the most efficient way that I could show you the examples in context, right? So add your own detail, add personality, show who you are. See if you can work some of these phrases in, but again, make it your own. All right? So if you have any questions about this, or you would like to share your introduction, maybe you want to write how you would use these phrases, let me know, right? I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them too. Feel free, if you benefited from this, to hit the like button and subscribe, and also get a free course in the links in the description.